podcast. My name is DK Diamantes. His name is Bricky, and you know what we do. But before we do it, if you enjoyed today's episode and maybe you want to support the podcast, head over to patreon.com/Adeptus Ridiculous, where you can get access to the Discord, bloopers if they happen. The $15 tier gets you access to all of our posters in crispy digital HD format. The newest one is a DB Cooper poster as the host of Detective Ridiculous. I am not biased at all. Go buy it right now. Wonderful. Adeptus Ridiculous podcast Patreon. Almost ruined that. Patreon.com/Adeptus Ridiculous. Bricky has things to say.
I do. I actually have really cool announcements going on today.
Ooh.
We have some brand new merchandise.
What?
I know. So it's April. It's unfortunate. Today's April 1st when we're recording it, but because this episode will be on the 3rd, we can't really make any good jokes.
That's true. That's a tough one.
Yeah, nothing on each other's stuff, but it's good into spring, and so we have a bunch of new floral products for it. But specifically, I wanted to say that Adeptus Ridiculous is 15% off for the next week because we have the brand new items here. It's a little logo tee. There's a crew neck, and there's our sweatpants that many of you have tried. But the tee is a brand new tri-blend style, and the crew neck is a brand new product as well. And I personally think that they are our softest products in the entire store. But I can only say that out loud, and so unless you test it, you won't truly know. Hence the 15% off discount. It is automatically applied. Do not worry, no code needed. But check it out. It's a brand new tri-blend crew neck and sweatpants for the season. Nice little floral print on it.
Wow.
And yeah, check it out. Orchidate.com, link in the description.
This is my first time seeing them. I love it. I especially love the sweatpants that have the skull and the Adric on them. Oh, that's great.
I really like the floral print. We found it. I mean, they look a little different depending on which one you get because it's all cut from like a big sheet, and so they have a little bit of variety to it. But it's really fun. It's it's nice. It's got the floral. It's spring. It's it's cool.
Yeah. Last time I said I was gonna buy them, you yelled at me because you could just give them to me, but I'm buying all of them.
He's buying all.
I'm buying all of them.
Why do you keep buying them? It's like
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe I'll actually message you and get you to actually get me some free swag. I don't know. We'll see.
I live offered it every time, and you just like he hates speaking with me so much. He would just rather spend his money than ask me for anything.
That is ridiculous, and that is Adeptus Ridiculous, and you know it.
Shy,
but
comment.
I do hate speaking
I get
with
that.
you. That's fair. Yeah, I do.
Well,
I do absolutely despise everything that you stand for.
That's why Kiriath episodes are your favorite episodes, and mine
absolutely.
too.
Well, Kiriath episodes are my favorite just because it's a good time, actually. But
they are our best episodes.
Yeah,
definitely. Now, all that being said, I wanted to experiment with a little bit of the new design and everything like that, which is very on brand because today's episode is all about experimentation.
Ooh, is this an AdMech episode, Bricky?
No.
What?
No, it's actually not.
Nobody's gonna get that. Okay, whatever. It's fine. Don't worry.
I sent an AdMech meme earlier, viewers, and it's fine. Don't worry about it. Anyway, I have a quote for you.
Oh no! You don't. It's April Fool's. It's not actually a quote. You're just gonna be nice and
listen. I have a quote for you. It's the top quote for this character. It's a character episode. I'll give you that one. I'll give you a little bit of a hint.
Belisarius Call.
No. Oh, my God. I got a quote for you. It's a character episode. I don't think you're going to get it anyway, but we'll find out.
Oh, great. Thanks.
All right.
You
ready?
Let's try it. Let's see.
Also, I have a little bit of the con crud right now, so I'm sniffling and nasally. I apologize. All right. If a man dedicates his life to good deeds and the welfare of others, he will die unthanked and unremembered. If he exercises his genius, bringing misery and death to billions, his name will echo down through the millennia for 100 lifetimes. Infamy is always more preferable to... How do you pronounce... Ignominy? Ignominy? How the hell do you pronounce that?
I don't... How's it spelled?
Ignominy.
Yeah, I would say ignominy, but I don't know
DK,
what that means.
Stop speaking. Dictionary.com has me. Ignominy.
DK, stop speaking. Dictionary.com.
Ignominy? Ignominy. What the hell? Ignominy? What the hell? Whatever. Okay. It's infamy is preferable to not being known.
I could see this being just some awful person in the Imperium, but I could also see it being someone from Chaos. And immediately my mind went to, oh shoot, he wears like a flesh coat. I don't remember. I keep mixing his name up with Ferrus Manus. It's, oh shit.
Pause champ?
What's his name? I can't remember his name, but I know he does lots of weird experiments, and he's always wearing a flesh coat, but I can't remember his name.
Do we give it to him,
what's
Shy?
His name? I can't remember his name.
I think we have to give it to him. He knows. He does know.
I just don't remember what his name is. I know that I always mixed up his name with like Ferrus Manus. It's like I genuinely cannot remember his name, but I know he does lots of crazy chaos experiments and he does lots of weird shit, and he wears a flesh coat and he's got like these like weird like, doesn't he have like a lot of weird like green syringes that he does shit with, and just I can't remember his name.
I'm sorry, Shy. I have to give it to him. I have to give it to him. He got it. I have to do it. I'm sorry. I have to be the nice one here.
Thank you.
You are referring to Fabius Bile.
Oh, Fabius Bile!
Yes.
Oh, thank you for saying his name. It was driving me crazy.
Fabius Bile himself, the Dr. Frankenstein of the 41st millennium. I have to give it to him, Shy. I have to. He got it.
Yes.
He did get it.
Basically, sure. I'll take it.
God damn.
Oh, man. I wish I could have remembered his name.
Yeah, no, God damn, I got it. I got to be honest. Yeah, you got it. Fabius Bile.
Good old Bile man.
Now, I wanted to actually do a nice little change of pace in the opening of this episode. I want to say some stuff for our viewers. We're very much the foot in the door podcast, like very much, surface level stuff.
Yeah.
Just kind of get you to learn a little bit about them, but not everything.
Yes.
If you are a viewer and you enjoy learning or want to learn more about Fabius Bile, then I would recommend reading the books either Fulgrim, which is his first appearance, and he is a pretty prominent point, but he also has a trilogy of books, the Fabius Bile series. It goes Primogenitor, then Clone Lord, and then Manflayer. Apparently, it's like up there with the Night Lords trilogy. Apparently, it's really, really good.
Oh, okay.
And then Gene Father, yes, just came out a few months ago. That's him and Belisarius Cawl pitted against each other.
Oh, so this is a Belisarius Cawl Admech episode.
You got the quote right, and yet you make me suffer like this.
This is the way. I'm sorry. This is my truth.
And so it would appear. But yes, Fabius Bile. So I'll be honest, as I just said, there are like 5 or more books that contain Fabius Bile. He has an entire trilogy on himself, so this is going to be super surface level information here.
I was going to say, you had a hell of a time researching this, because I don't think there was enough time this month to read 5 books and compile all the information on him.
There are multiple Primarchs with less lore than this guy.
Wow.
Yeah, no,
they really like Fabius Bile, huh?
I will start with my excuses because I have to prime people because
Soften the blow.
He's a little bit. He's a loved character. He's a very beloved character, and after reading about him, I kind of get it. He's a fascinating piece of shit.
Oh, yeah. I love how in every picture of him I've seen, his flesh coat doesn't look that bad. It's just like, oh, hey, he's got a cool yellow coat. And it's like, oh, hey, there's the Emperor's Children pauldrons. And then you look closer and it's like, oh, hey, that's stitched together flesh.
Yeah, it's a stitched together flesh coat.
Yeah,
so
that's awful.
Fabius Bile, apothecary, chief apothecary of the Emperor's Children, also Chaos Lord, technically. Also known as the Clone Lord, the Primogenitor, Manflayer, and the Spider. Often the Spider. The Spider is one of his more common nicknames, but he prefers the Primogenitor. Is it because of his arms
and stuff?
That and I'm sure other reasons.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so do you remember where the Emperor's Children hailed from? Actually, no, this is really specific. I'm going to skip this.
Okay.
Point being, the Emperor's Children, obviously, pursuit of perfection. Eventually going down the route of Slaanesh, which was pretty obvious. Fulgrim, Primarch, all that fun stuff. Third Legion, but most of them came from Terra, in kind of the European side of the U.S. Of the U.S., I'm sorry. Oh my God, Bricky. Of Earth.
It's okay. I got what you were saying. It's okay. I got you.
Yeah, but oh God.
But you still said it.
Yeah, I did.
I know what you meant, but he's like, I still said it though, and this is going to be on the internet, and oh boy.
So a lot of the Emperor's Children were hoity-toity nobles.
Shocking.
I know, but like a lot of their Terran groups way back when were taken from that hoity-toity area in Europe, the areas of what Europe would be in Terra. Now, Bile started off a little weird, but like not too weird. One of his things that he really liked to do was dress up mice, dress them up in funny, elaborate garb and have them duel each other. But sometimes they would disobey his orders and then the mice would like kill each other, and that would make him really sad and angry.
What a weird kid.
Yeah, he's just a little strange. Like,
yeah. That is the childhood I would expect of someone like Fabius Bile. Just like this really weird, like, what the hell's wrong? Who hurt you when you were a kid? And he's like, well, I used to dress up mice and make them duel, and then when they died, I got sad and angry. And it's like, oh, yeah, you're crazy.
Yeah, he learned about flesh crafting a little bit from one of his family servants because, nobility and stuff. Sure. But his first few experiments were modifying mice to duel each other in fancy-pantsy garb. And then they would kill each other, and he'd be like, no, why?
No, why? Also, even if you're a noble, who teaches flesh crafting to a child?
It's 41st millennium, man. It's just
true.
Or I guess,
it's like, who even dabbles? Even if you're an aristocrat, it's like, oh, yes, I think I'm going to teach this child the noble art of flesh crafting. What? That's never a good idea. Stop the hats.
Okay, have you seen Twin Peaks?
Which one is Twin Peaks?
Laura Palmer.
Is that the one that starts off as like a murder mystery and then it just devolves into like a fever dream of chaos?
Yeah.
I've seen like the first bunch of episodes of it. I haven't watched the whole thing though.
Okay, do you remember the rich girl daughter who just kind of is like a total bitch and just ruins things for the sake of ruining things?
Vaguely.
That's kind of the vibe I'm getting here. Is like, hey, he learned flesh crafting because I don't really have anything else to do, so let's make mice kill each other or not kill each other. Let's make them duel.
Sure.
You're a little bored when you have everything.
That's true. That's why you often see like billionaire children end up doing like horrific crimes. It's like, you had everything. What are you doing? And it's like, well, I was bored. Yeah, nothing else gave me any pleasure in life because I could literally have anything I wanted.
Yeah, you struggle for nothing. So anyway, eventually, as he went through, indictment into the Legion or inductment into the Third Legion, there was something that ravaged the Legion known as the Blight. Now, I think we talked about this in the Fulgrim episode. Basically, a huge amount of that really early gene seed was sabotaged, and it made it so that a lot of the Emperor's children suffered these horrible, like, tumors in their gene seed, which would be cancerous and then kill them.
Yuck. That's a bad thing.
It's very bad. It's very, very bad. And so this blight really ravaged the numbers of the Emperor's children, brought them pretty down low for a while. And it's partially kind of one of the things that set them on the course of their pursuit of perfection, because getting rid of the blight and like carving out all of the infected Marines, a lot of the infected Marines with the blight were just kind of like outright executed because they were, not blighted. Perfect and sick and blighted.
Yeah.
Fabius was kind of going this whole thing of like, okay, dedicating his life to figure out a way to stop the blight.
Oh wow, yeah, that's a pretty ironic gene failing. That's for the guys that want to be ultra perfect. It's like, oh hey, by the way, your gene malfunction is cancerous tumor. And it's like, ooh. I mean, that's not great for anybody, but for the group that specifically wants to be perfect, it's like, yikes.
It probably is part of the reason why it had them down that direction. But it was doubly bad because this is before they found Fulgrim, so there was no replenishment of the gene stock. So Bile actually dedicated his life to fixing this blight and worked just tirelessly to find a cure for it, but eventually found out he was able to find a way to test for it and find out if people have it or not.
Oh.
And by finding a way out to do that, they were then able to cull the legion of the infected individuals.
Oh.
It wasn't until Bile himself found out that he actually also had the blight.
Uh-oh. Bum, bum, bum.
But his work at trying to get rid of it was so important, he did what pro athletes do and borrow the piss from other individuals to show it to be healthy.
Did he really? Was he just like, I'll just borrow this clean sample and look, everyone, not infected, don't have the blight, hooray!
No, like literally, he took healthy samples from dead comrades and stuff and used it to show that he didn't have the blight, because to him, he needed to survive to find a cure for it and to continue his work. His work is too important to die.
Do you think that the Emperor's children would have seen it that way? If he was like, let's say this is just Bizarro World, and he's like, I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to tell the chapter that I am indeed blighted. Do you think they would have just like culled him and killed him, or do you think they too would have been like, well, he's the only one that's making any progress with this. We got to keep him alive. We have to. Otherwise, blech.
So, interestingly, I think for the most part, the answer would be no. They would get rid of him anyway. But eventually, right, they find Fulgrim, and then they can start making gene seed from Fulgrim. So, in reality, he's basically the only blighted person left.
Right, because all the other ones have been culled and killed because he can test for it. So he's right. He would be literally the only one left, wouldn't he?
And so eventually, we're going to skip past a good portion of the Emperor's Children lore right here. But, Slaanesh demon possesses Fulgrim. They eventually exorcise the demon from Fulgrim after the drop site massacre.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, Fabius estimated he had only about a year left of life. But he, at this point, actually told Fulgrim after they removed the demon from him, like, hey, dude, like, science is not working to get rid of this stuff. It might be time for like some of the arcane crap, but like I got this problem with me, and like am I not worthy to still survive? Like, have I not helped make everyone achieve true perfection? Am I not still totally worthy to be kept alive even with my affliction for all I have done?
I mean, that's fair, but it is also Chaos Fulgrim. So I mean, surely he must be like, oh, yeah, well, you know what? It kind of sucks that you didn't tell anyone, but, I mean, you are pretty important, and you've made... I don't know. So,
I mean, Fulgrim was cool with it. Kept him up, kept him alive, let him keep doing his stuff. Okay. And this is the thing about Fabius that I find just really, really funny, and is a great bit of lore. So... this took some time afterwards, figuring out how to do it properly, lots of engineering and stuff. But Fabius is a lot like Trazen.
Oh.
Where Fabius is like constantly has around a year to live or something, but he became a master flesh crafter and specifically a master cloner. So he kept cloning versions of himself with neural copies of his mind, brain, and memories. So every time he would die or succumb, he would just transfer into a completely new body and be another Fabius.
Oh, wow, really? So he is the flesh version of Trazyn, because he's got an endless supply of clones that he just and each of these clones are all blighted, so each one is just like, oh yeah, this is another blighted clone. You've got 1 year free pass.
He basically can't cure his blight, so he just keeps on making copies of himself, because despite all... It's actually a little bizarre. I feel like he should be able to, like, have figured out how to do it, but you can't remove the gene seed and like put a new one in. It's just not feasible, apparently. Like how even the Emperor couldn't take the nails out of Angron's brain.
Right. This is one of those scenarios.
So he just has a ton of various Fabius clones. So every time he dies, either to blight or death,
anything,
he just goes vrink.
So does he have a warehouse where they just get made en masse, or does he just like wait until the last week before he dies and he makes one? Like how? Like is there a factory that just presses them out, or?
Sir, he is a scientist. He does not have a warehouse. He has a laboratory.
Oh, so sorry. Does he have a laboratory that just presses them out?
Yes. Well, I'm sure. Like if you see a clip of like an evil scientist walking down a hallway. There's a whole bunch of giant container tubes full of things. That is Fabius Bile in a nutshell, honestly.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, also, I meant to ask this when it was like, oh, yes, he's the master of clones. Is he the one that cloned Horus at some point or something?
I didn't think you were going to say Horus, but yes, he was.
He's the one that made pseudo Horus, and then Abaddon came and was like, "This is bullshit," and killed it.
That is exactly what happened. Yes.
Yeah,
very good. So after Fulgrim came back and they were doing all this stuff, a lot of this is during the Fulgrim book, I do believe, where slowly Fabius started to get a little bit more,
crazy.
Wacky. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because that's the thing with cloning, right? Is like each clone isn't is each clone perfect?
No, it's not so much about the clones. It's a lot more about the experiments he was conducting.
Okay.
It started to be like, hey, let's do some experiments to learn more about the Marines that we capture and our own Marines and the civilians, and let's just keep on doing experiments. Woo!
Yeah, because usually in like sci-fi, they'll be like, oh yeah, every clone is going to get worse and worse because you're making a copy of a copy of a copy, and it's going to be less and less perfect, less and less like the original, and all these problems are going to arise. And I was wondering if maybe he had some sort of like a clone degradation.
If there is one, it might be in like a book. I'm not sure myself because I haven't read the trilogy, but I mean, I'm not quite sure there, but yes, as Shai says, he is indeed an Emperor's Children Marine, so his chase for like perfection is constant. He was the one who helped create the lovely process of making noise Marines after the Maraviglia concert.
Oh boy, what a fun time.
He specifically, was it Eidolon? Shai, which one was the guy whose vocal cords he tore out and replaced it with like a sonic
subwoofer
scream? Yeah, and had his like jaw distend like the size of a snake.
I mean, that noise marine probably loved that though. Like, I'm sure he didn't love the procedure, but the aftermath, he was probably like, "I'm a rock star."
I don't remember. It may have been Eidolon. I don't remember because Eidolon is this like uber douchebag of the Emperor's Children, but he died with his head getting cut off, and Fulgrim reattached it to his body and revived him from death. Did I say Fulgrim? I meant Fabius. Sorry, Fabius did that, not Fulgrim.
Okay. Every time you say Eidolon, that's like another name for summons in Final Fantasy games, and I'm just like, Eidolons, huh? They're using summons? Bahamut?
It's the Warframe for me.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's right. It was Plains of Eidolon. Right.
That's right.
Shiver runs down my spine thinking of Plains of Eidolon. Why, Bricky? Why would you bring that up?
Right. So Eidolon, I don't remember if he was the first Noise Marine or not, but yeah, Fulgrim got pissed at him and then cut Eidolon's head off. And then his severed head was then passed over the victory wine of the Third Legion, mixing its blood with the alcohol. And then Fabius was like, hey, how neat. Can I like bring him back to life? That'd be kind of cool. And then Fulgrim's like, sure, dude, why not? But now he's like a horrible, he's not himself. He's like a zombie now.
Yeah, I vaguely remember. I remember that picture specifically because that is a wild one. I know we've talked about him in passing before, but yikes, that sucks. That sucks. Zombie Marine.
Yeah, and so Fabius, with all of his ailment and serving the Third Legion, his stuff just got a bit more debased, a bit more. Some more debauchery more and more, which obviously goes along with the whole vibe of the Emperor's children slowly entering the grasp of Slaanesh.
Right. Okay.
So Fulgrim was like, hey, make me a clone of Ferrus Manus so I can try to convince him that the heresy is a good thing because I killed him on Isstvan 5.
Right. There was a small part of me that was kind of hoping you were going to be like, hey, make me a clone of Ferrus Manus because I want to cut his head off again.
Because I just found it so funny the first time.
Yeah, it was just so much fun the first time, and now that I'm fully chaos, I want to do it again endlessly or something. It's like, wow, that would be a chaos thing to do, right? I mean,
so he did it, and Fulgrim tried to convince Ferrus Manus, and Ferrus Manus, in typical Ferrus Manus fashion, was like, eat shit, loser.
Yeah. I was going to say, there's no way Ferrus Manus is ever going to be like, why, surely, you're right, chaos. Yum, 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 yum.
The man is as thick-headed as Dorn. And so every single time, Fulgrim would cut his head off again, and then it'd be like,
Did
next,
he really?
he would kill him. I'm just going to assume it's the head.
Okay, cool.
And then he would do like another one. And this happened like multiple times of like, here's a new Ferrus, here's a new Ferrus, here's a new Ferrus. And it never worked. No matter what he did, it never worked. And that made Fulgrim very angry.
So half of Fabius Bile's laboratory is clones of himself. The other half is Ferrus Manus clones. Because Fulgrim just keeps on trying. The were, right. I'm sure he's given up by now.
So during the heresy itself, like during the siege of Terra, do you remember what the Emperor's children did when Perturabo and crew were attacking the walls and everything? Do you remember what the Emperor's children chose to do?
Weren't they off just like killing civilians and shit?
Yeah, you remembered.
Yeah, look at me learning.
Yeah, they were just like, hey, cool, a complete massive population of just anybody. I'm going to just kill them all, and
we're just gonna go on a massacre.
And it's even crazier because this is also Shy beat me to the punch. Yeah.
They're chaos, so they're probably not just killing them. I mean, eventually those people probably died, but
do you remember what the Emperor's children would do with prisoners?
No, but I can't imagine it was anything nice.
So Bile, in his infinite wisdom, was like, man, what if we just like made drugs out of people?
Oh no!
What's that salmonella clip where he's like, "That's cool. What if we tried it on people?"
No! Oh no! He made Soylent Greens his people.
He rendered them into a base narcotic form. And had all the Emperor's children take it as like a psychedelic drug, as like an enhancing drug. He turned them into God knows what it was: LSD, cocaine, heroin. Who fucking cares? He
turned them into Emperor's children steroids.
Yeah, and LSD and all the other things that would feel fun.
Oh boy, that sucks. That's not great. That's okay. All right.
One of the more interesting parts of the Emperor's Children in general is that a lot of their bodies have been adjusted so that pain does create pleasure. Like if you get
that
hurt,
makes sense.
It feels good.
Yeah. As worshippers of Slaanesh, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, that's like how the butcher's nails would turn all emotions into anger, and non-anger made you angry. This is just like, hey, Emperor's Children, here are, if you hurt yourself, it's gonna feel great. And so also here's a vial of people, snort that shit.
And they are more than happy to do it. That makes them a horrible fighting. Well, not horrible, but like a really good fighting force. Because like it's like you hit them in the face with a flail, and they're just like orgasming, and it's like, what the fuck, dude? Like, what is going on here? Like, it's hard to stop a group like that.
Do you remember the Emperor's the Slaanesh what's the word? Coated? Not coated. The Slaanesh guy from Lion, Son of the Forest, who took their helmet off and their eyes were like enormous and their mouth was like triple the size it should be, so they could see and taste more of the world.
Oh yeah.
It's things like there's a story, I forget what the name of it was, but it's an Emperor's Children Marine, and he specifically like gouged and mutilated a twin brother and sister, and then impaled them alive to both of his pauldrons, so they could always be right next to each other, but never feel each other's like grasp ever again.
Whoa!
And
so
just
dark.
to make them suffer, but particularly he like elongated his tongue really long and then impaled it to a spike on his chest, so that whenever he would throw his head back in laughter, he would stretch the skin and it would make him feel good.
Why does that sound familiar?
Because it's Emperor's Children shenanigans.
That's true. It's like, oh yeah, that's totally something an Emperor's Children would do. Surely I've heard of it before, because wow. Like, holy hell, man. And I'm assuming he's quite the laugher.
He's got a sense of humor.
He's a bit of a chuckle fuck, as they say.
As they say. It's quite something. So,
sheesh.
Anywho, these are the things that the Emperor's Children were doing and Bile was doing. You know his skin coat?
Yeah.
So often he would make the skin coat, and then he would have the still skinless victim, and he would force the skinless victim to carry the back of his coat like a bridal gown.
Oh, lovely. Wow, what a great guy.
He's just, what a cool dude, you know?
Yeah, what a nice thing to do. It's like, oh, hey, here's your skin. Here it is. Hey, look, it's back on you. Hooray. Jesus. All right. I mean, hey, is it as bad as impaling twin children on your pauldrons that are still alive?
I mean, you answer me on that one.
It's a side grade anyway. it's definitely in the realm of, wow, the Emperor's Children are a little
right. Kooky.
Yeah, they're a little not right in the head.
Okay, now I'm going to turn this episode on its head though for a second. Did you know that Fabius Bile doesn't believe in the Chaos Gods?
What?
I know, right?
How does Fabius Bile, after doing all this stuff and being an Emperor's Children, worshippers, how does he not believe in the Chaos Gods?
So Fabius Bile takes it's a little bit like how we talked about the Night Lord books. It's less so that he thinks like, okay, the gods are cringe and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. He just kind of doesn't believe they exist. He thinks they're just stellar this and that and phenomena.
Okay.
So it gets interesting because Fabius, despite all of his shit, despite all of his craziness, does not believe in the Emperor's Children's like chaos pursuit. He is an imperial truth believer. Mankind is the ultimate destined goal of the entire galaxy, and his goal is to create the perfect human.
I mean, that does fall in line with, like, what we've been saying about what the end goal for the Emperor's Children is in seeking perfection, right? That falls in line with the Emperor's Children's end goal, so that makes sense. But a part of me is just like, okay, look, I get all that, but how you going to deny the Chaos Gods? Like, I could see it if he was like, I just think chaos is cringe. Like, I acknowledge that they exist, but I'm not going to pray to them. I'm not going to worship them because, man, look at what they're doing to these people. These aren't perfect humans anymore. They're abominations. I could see that, but just straight up not believing in him is kind of crazy.
So he's like the ultimate atheist in a way. He just thinks everything can be rationalized by science in a way or another.
Yeah, but the Chaos Gods have, like, shown themselves to exist, right? It's not like now where it's like they're very, like, they show themselves and they do stuff, don't they?
So, okay, so...
Like, on Earth, I can see how you would be skeptical, but in 40K, it's like, well...
So, it becomes a bit more of an interesting concept as we go on through it, but do you want to read Shai's thing? It's kind of funny.
Oh, yeah. You ever read Feet of Clay by Terry Pratchett? It has Golem Atheist in fantasy world that has gods. In one scene, he says the gods don't exist. One of the gods immediately throws a lightning bolt at him from the sky. Golem says, that's not a good argument.
So, so it's interesting because to get back to the concept of Fabius has made a clone of basically every single Primarch. He went to Baal and stole the blood of Sanguinius, which the Blood Angels were not stoked about.
Oh, yeah, I am sure the Blood Angels were pissed.
They were very angry.
Yeah.
But all things considered with all of that, the whole shtick that he's trying to get into is that he wants to recreate the Primarch project that the Emperor did, or maybe even recreate something like the Emperor himself, because he wants to create the perfect humans, the perfect bits of humanity. For a long time, his creations in the Emperor's Children and otherwise are surgically enhanced Marines. I think he calls them like the Teteras or Tetras or something. But they're basically just Marines that are the yin to the yang of the Primaris Marines of the Loyalists.
I was
stronger,
about to say,
better.
When these things got made, did the Warhammer community kind of be like, "Oh, I don't like that," in kind of the same way, like, because I remember there was some kickback against the Primaris Marines, right? Because it's like, oh, that's not a Space Marine, right?
So the kickback against the Primaris Marines were not so much that that's not a Space Marine. I think it was more that it appeared that GW was phasing out the old models by replacing them with new models. And the new models don't really have that, they're a bit more sci-fi than like fantasy knight looking. And so people were like, didn't want the new style kind of thing. I don't much mind. I don't mind Primaris, but Fabius Bile making new Marines with his wicked experiments is totally on brand.
It is, and like you said, as soon as you said it, I was like, man, that sounds a lot like a Primaris situation. Like, as soon as you were talking, I was like, is that like Chaos Primaris Marines?
Yeah, like the Gene Father book really dives into this with Belisarius Cawl. Do you remember in the Great Workbook, there's Alpha Primaris, or what's his name? Was it Alpha Primaris?
Yeah, I think it was Alpha Primaris, and he was in a constant state of pain, and because he had like too much power or something.
Yeah, like Bile, I think the goal of that book is to get him and like use him to screw around with stuff. And there's a conversation between him and Cawl where he's like, Cawl, you call me a madman? You experiment on this kid for like 10,000 years. What are you talking about?
Yeah, calling Bile horrific and whatever is a little pot kettle. Yeah.
But Cawl was also like, Bile, bro, you're wearing a skin suit. So there's a little bit. There's a good back and forth. There's a good back and forth about it. It's fun. But anywho,
interesting argument. However, you're wearing a skin suit.
It's a good interaction between the two of them. But for the most part, yeah, Bile is like, your Primaris Marines are crap. I could have done way better with them.
And he does, doesn't he? His guys are better?
Well, his guys are better, but his guys have problems as well, as all of his clones have issues. Because, he cloned Horus and then Abaddon just killed him immediately. But then there's also, he's got lots of various clones, but he's trying to, clone Fulgrim, and he did it a bunch of times. And then every time he was like, Fulgrim is probably going to go down the same path as before. This is not a good enough clone. And then he kind of chucks the baby with the bathwater, so to speak.
Oh, yeah, all right, gotcha, yep.
But at the same time...
That's such a fucked up phrase.
I know, right?
It's so messed up.
But at the same time, Bile, despite all of his stuff, is very much a clean, set forth, imperial truth believer. Mankind is destined to rule the entire stars. Oh, yeah. I was actually about to bring that quote up. Shai, DK, you want to read that?
Bile talking about the Emperor. Unlike you, whelp, I once walked the same ground as your idol. I breathed the same air as him, and I tell you this, without lie or artifice, he never wanted to become what you have made him. He did not wish to be your God thing. He abhorred such ideals. The slavery of your crippled, blind Imperium would sicken him if he had eyes to see it. I mean, he's right.
He's absolutely right.
He is 1,000,000% right. That's true.
So with his goal being like this, he tends to not get along with Chaos Space Marines either. Now, you run Fabius Bile in a Chaos Space Marine army. He is part of the Emperor's Children, which are a traitor legion. Mm-hmm. But you could almost argue he's a bit more of a renegade Marine. He's kind of on his own.
Yeah, with the way he talks, I kind of get it now as to why he wouldn't believe in chaos gods and why he seems less like a chaos marine and more just like you said, a renegade space marine that is just still oh yeah, the Emperor was great and humanity is so stupid for doing what they do, and I want to restore humanity and essentially the old Imperium. If the old Imperium rose up and got rid of this god-worshipping Emperor thing, I feel like he might actually just straight up betray the Emperor's Children and just go back to the Emperor.
I mean, he's betrayed the Emperor's Children many a times already. He's experimented on them.
Well, that's I figured that was just a chaos thing. I figured it was just oh yeah, I'm Fabius Bile. I do what I want. I'll experiment on anyone that I want. And it's oh yeah, well, I'm chaos. I'm Emperor's Children. Pain is pleasure for me, so stitch away, Doc.
A little bit. A little bit. It's led him down some pretty kooky pathways. A lot of this again are in the various books, but he has one where he was being hounded by a bunch of Harlequins and eventually came into contact with Trazyn himself. Oh. And Trazyn was like, "Bro, big fan of your work. I'm going to put you in my gallery now." And Bile's like, "Whoa, now, hold up. What about I give you all of these Harlequins chasing me?" And Trazyn's like, "All right, bet." And then
you gotta catch them.
Well, and then as the Harlequins were hounding and screwing with his ship, his clone of Fulgrim broke free and started using his other experiments to fight off the Harlequins. Mm-hmm. And eventually, Faye was like, "God damn it, the Fulgrim again. I thought this was the perfect one, but it's clearly not. He's going to go down the same path as before." Trazyn, my bro, my boy, what if I gave you a perfect copy of Fulgrim and all of that for all of the Emperor's Children gene seed you stole?
Oh, I didn't realize Trazyn had Emperor's Children gene seed. Okay.
I think it's either alluded to or said outright that Trazyn stole the original gene seed way back when.
Okay. That's quite the prize for Fabius then.
And he accepted it. So Trazyn has a perfect clone Fulgrim copy in his vault, and he was given enough gene seed to make 18,000 Space Marines.
Oh, wow. That is a lot of seed. I almost said that's a lot of semen for some reason because seed, but anyway, that's a lot of gene seed. Holy jumping.
I mean, it is the seed.
Yeah, I mean, I guess essentially it kind of sort of is the same thing, but like, I don't know. It doesn't sound right when you say, oh, yes, this is my gene semen. Like, that's not. That I don't like that.
So, I mean, yeah, but like, well, I guess it is different. One of them is like a gland versus just semen. It's fine, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Let's not go down this road. Let's just go right back to Fabius Bile. He has a lot of gene seed now, enough to make 18,000 Space Marines, and wow, that is quite the load. I don't know why.
God, that was good. I like that one. That was good. That was good. A+.
Mean to say it like that, but let's yes.
The Fabius Bussy.
And it's full of gene seed.
And it's fabulous.
It is a. Oh my god. Oh boy, get us back on track, buddy.
Back on.
You can do it. Dean came and us back onto the tracks.
We never went off the rails. We're still on topic. It's just it was a bit of a bumpy area.
This is a very Emperor's Children coded episode, as it should be.
As it should. Yes. So if you think about it, all right. So Bile is clearly quite the madman. Who do you think would also be a lot like Bile? What alien race do you think would be like, nice work, dude?
I don't.
Oh, come on, man.
Cloners? I mean, maybe the why am I drawing a blank on the dwarfs' names?
Okay, it's not the Votan.
The Votan. Right.
No, the Drukhari.
Oh, yeah, the Drukhari would... Yeah, that... I don't know why the Drukhari did not pop into my mind at all.
It's okay.
It's the obvious choice.
The cloning part, you did. I do understand what you're getting at with that one, but we forgot the pain and the torture part.
Yeah.
Listen, Shai, you got to give him some to keep the hope up, you know?
Yeah. What did they say? The worst thing that came out of Pandora's box was hope?
Is that what they say?
Something like that. It's like all of the awful stuff comes out of Pandora's box, and the worst thing that's left behind in the box is hope, because hope can often lead you to the greatest despair.
Well, anyway,
yeah, whatever.
So Drukhari found his way into the Drukhari Camarog and all that stuff. There's a place called the Coven of the 13 Scars, and Bile very much impressed them with his improvisational tortures. That the Drukhari Coven was like, you know what, man? All right, come check us out. Come check us out. Let's work together. So, with the aid of the Coven, Bile chilled in Komarov for a bit, and he created something called the Tower of Flesh.
Oh my god.
It is a living, breathing fortress made of the remains of those who had wronged the Coven in their prior lives, and it hangs from the bottom of Komarov like a fleshy stalactite.
Holy shit.
It is a sentient tower of flesh just dangling there with blood dripping walls.
Wow. Like, up until this episode, I had thought I had heard, like, just the craziest stuff, and now it's just like, people, drugs, and flesh towers, let's go. Oh, this has been a wild ride so far, but tell me more about the flesh tower.
Telling you more about the Flesh Tower. Well, I mean, it's not much else besides the Flesh Tower. I've told you the Flesh Tower.
And it's just constantly dripping blood, you said?
The insides are always dripping blood because it's made of humans. But for this, the Drukhari was like, all right, you know what? We will bestow upon you the knowledge of our flesh crafting as a reward for what you've done.
Wow. I mean, that's quite the prize for old Fabius then, because that is... They craft a little bit of flesh over there on Kamara.
Well, unfortunately, it didn't last long. Bile taught that same stuff that the Drukhari taught him to his fellow Emperor's Children tutors and like students.
Mm-hmm.
And then the 13 Scars Coven was pretty pissed off about that because you don't want to bring that knowledge to even more lesser of people. So they murdered all of his students and then altered Fabius's brain so he could never speak of what he had learned.
Oh, wow. That's actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
I think there was still some kind of mutual respect. So they were like, all right, you can never talk about what we taught you, ever, but we're not going to, like, turn you into a code.
Yeah, I mean, because it's the Drukhari. It's like, oh, yeah, you slighted us and you told our secrets. We're going to make you into a chandelier that we're going to constantly poke and prod at, and you're going to suffer for all of eternity. The fact that they just hit him with, like, essentially the MIB flash stick that made him forget, not the worst thing that could happen.
I don't know if they actually made him forget. I think they just made it so he can't speak of it. He still knows.
Oh,
I think that this is a probably in the book not 100% on that one.
Okay. So he just can't. He can never teach anyone about it again, but he can still do it himself.
It specifically states that to ensure that Fabius himself could never speak of what he had learned. So I'm going to assume that's the case.
That does sound like, yeah, he can still do it, but he can never talk about it. He can never teach anyone or anything like that. Yeah.
So, you know, Fabius has gotten into some pretty fun antics in times.
I don't know if fun is the right word.
It's fun for him.
Interesting. Oh, yeah, fun for him, for sure, yeah.
He's still off and about trying to make all of the best Primarchs out there. He's trying to get that whole crafting going. But the most important and interesting, I mean, not the most important, but what an interesting part of Fabius, and the thing to leave us off on, is really his relationship with Slaanesh. So, clearly,
I imagine that's a little shaky.
Clearly what he's done, Slaanesh is huge fan.
Yeah, definitely.
Loves this stuff. Mm-hmm. Fabius is like turbo atheist. God can come down to him and speak to him in his face, and he'd be like, I must be hallucinating.
Yeah, it must be a hologram or something. This is fake. This is fraudulent.
And that's basically what happens.
Whoa! So, Slaanesh literally comes and talks to him, and he's just like, no, this is bullshit.
So, Fabius is clearly Slaanesh corrupted. It is not something that, like, he would ever say, but it is very obvious that his enjoyment for all this stuff, his pursuit of perfection, I do have the full text, Shy, all of that kind of stuff, he is very much a corrupted by Slaanesh, but tries to stay otherwise. And I think that's kind of the slight tragedy of his character, is that despite the fact that he doesn't even believe in Slaanesh, he is clearly under her influence at least a little bit.
Yeah, with all the experiments and the enjoyment he takes from it, and yep.
So there is a part where he is basically judged by Slaanesh, and there's like a pale gaze just kind of staring at him. And the full text here I have is, Fabius felt a flicker of unease as the pale gaze pierced through him. His chirurgeon twitched as if it shared his uncertainty. The questor's smile was like a scalpel grating on bone, and he clapped again. The world seemed to shake. One by one, the sensor feeds in Fabius Bile's armor went dark, and his confines became stifling. The air felt still and heavy, and just like everything just got really, really overtaxed.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was when Slaanesh, or a demon of Slaanesh, was speaking to him, and they literally said, Fabius says, "Who are you then? Name yourself." "I am the whetstone of desire. I am the asker of questions. I am the questor." And Fabius responds with, "I've never heard of you."
Sure, buddy, sure. Okay. Also, I love the whetstone of desire. Is like, that's quite the name, actually, for Slaanesh.
So it was a kind of like a moment of testing, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Fabius is the way he is, like, I know my worth. I know my crimes. This court holds no jurisdiction over me. But all during this time, he's still kind of like panicking a little bit. His heart rate is going really, really fast. His muscles are straining.
Mm-hmm.
And so he looked up, and it said something looked down. It was not a face, for a face was a thing of limits and angles, and what he saw had neither. It stretched as far as his eyes could see, as if it were one with the whole of the sky and the firmament above. Things that might have been eyes or distant moons or vast constellations of stars looked down at him, and a gash in the atmosphere twisted like a lover's smile. It studied him from an impossible distance, and he felt the sharp edge of its gaze cut through him layer by layer. There was pain in that gaze and pleasure as well, agony and ecstasy, inextricable and inseparable. And at this point, he basically just like panics.
Sure, who wouldn't?
Yeah, he tears his face away. He starts pounding a bunch of tranquilizers into his body, and he literally just like wishes it away in his head. He's like, "There's nothing there. There's nothing there at all. There are no gods, only stars in the void. No gods, no gods, no gods. I think, therefore I am. They do not, so they are not. The gods are for the weak, and I am not weak." He keeps saying as he pumps himself full of tranquilizers.
So he's having a chaos panic attack, and he is just like drugging himself out of it.
Pretty much.
Wow.
That
is such a descriptive scene of like what it's like to have Slaanesh judging you too. Like, that's such a dope way to put it. Like, that was so sick.
The face of God was staring at him, and he was pumping himself full of Xanax, being like, "Must have been the wind."
Yeah, that wasn't la 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 la. I didn't see anything. God doesn't exist. It was just the moon. Oh, please go away. Please go away. Please go away.
I mean, yeah, he was. I mean, he basically plugged his ears and was like, "La la la, I can't hear you.
Can't hear you. Don't see you. My eyes are closed. Can't see you. You don't exist." Yeah, that's crazy.
But the actual fact that Slaanesh themselves has taken notice of him clearly shows that, this whole time he's like, "Yeah, I've done all these horrible torture things in the pursuit of perfection and excess, and I love pain and pleasure, but I'm not Slaanesh corrupted."
No, surely not. Also, it speaks volumes to how crazy like his experiments are that Slaanesh would even take the time to do that. Like, that is a chaos god that is taking the time to specifically like look at you and judge you because of everything Slaaneshi that you have done. Like, that's not a small thing. Like, chaos gods don't just show themselves to everybody. They don't just do that, right?
No, I mean, you think a bit like sometimes they do. For example, Karn. There's the statement that right next to Khorne's throne, there's a pile of skulls specifically from Karn.
Karn, yeah.
And so,
like, you have to do a lot to get them to notice you, though.
Oh yeah. Like Ahriman for Tzeentch. Like you do, Typhus. Typhus sold out the Death Guard, and he was handsomely rewarded.
Yes, he was. Boy, did he get a transformation.
Much like Ahriman, I think, like Fabius is trying his best to just believe that he will absolutely not, go down this path, but he is so damned. Slaanesh has taken notice of him specifically for his actions, and like, he is damned.
Shai says Slaanesh literally tells him in that scene, "You have committed crimes of such monstrous elegance that even the gods themselves grow uneasy." Oh, that's a lot. That's a biggin. For Slaanesh to say that is like, bro.
Yeah, I mean, you gave Dr. Frankenstein 10,000 years and a what's the word? A court with the Drukhari. He's gonna do some wacky stuff.
Yeah. Oh man. Sheesh.
But it's rather like fascinating that with like he's such a contradiction. He's such a hard believer in the imperial truth,
despite what he's doing.
Right, but then he has a panic attack when the god he doesn't believe in looks at him.
Shows up, yeah.
And then he plugs his ears and says, "La la la, I can't hear you."
Mm-hmm.
He's a wild character. He's really fascinating.
I was gonna say, just from this little sort of foot in the door introduction to Fabius Bile, I kind of love him. Like he's just this fascinating conundrum of pseudo hypocrisy that just is really interesting to hear about, and all of his crazy experiments and his crazy thought process. It's just, he's so odd and unsettling.
That's what I think is why he's such an interesting character, is because he's clearly damned. He's clearly he's not possessed, maybe, but he's absolutely damned. But in a weird way, the gods that he doesn't believe in probably have his back. I imagine, like being a demon prince, for example, being elevated to the rank of demon prince is not really the worst fate you could ever have. You become, you serve your god forever and for all eternity, which might not be the most fun thing. But you basically become immortal. You become an immortal demon with domain over your subjects and stuff like that under the god. You get promoted from layman to manager, basically, and you get to live forever. I'm positive Bile will become, like, if he just asked,
prince.
If he just asked, Slaanesh would be like, "Fuck yeah, dude!
Hell yeah, I've been waiting.
Yeah,
I've got the suit ready.
Yeah, I'll give you super. Which one do you want? Do you want suit A or suit B?
Yeah, and you know what? You designed the suit. Go at it. Like, yeah,
you've been designing suits you are the men's warehouse of Slaanesh. With the suits you've been making.
He totally is.
See, the difference
the Neiman Marcus of Slaanesh.
It's not men's warehouse, it's man warehouse, because he's selling skin of men.
Skin, yeah. Do you, like, if Fabius Bile was ever in mortal danger, even though he doesn't believe in, do you think Slaanesh would save him? Because it's just like, nope, can't lose you, because you do some fine work. You may not believe, because it's kind of like the devil, right? It's like, oh, I don't believe in the devil. And it's like, well, you should, because he believes in you. Is it kind of like that, where like Slaanesh would probably be like, nope, not gonna let you die. I'm gonna shuffle into the mortal coil and save you.
Well, first things first, he would probably just go to one of his clones. So,
that's true. Why? What she would never need, or they would never need to save him, because he's got clone on clone on clone. Like, yeah, that's true.
And even if they offered it, he would probably just outright say no. In fact, he wouldn't even have to say no. He'd probably just say like, "Oh, weird. A weird psychic phenomenon is reaching its hand out to my mind. I must be taking too many drugs," and then just die.
True. Well, would Slaanesh just save him regardless? Because, like, Slaanesh wouldn't want him to die, right? So it's like, oh, I'm not even going to ask. I'm just going to swoop in, kill whatever's trying to kill him, and then get out.
I think the gods don't have domain over real space. You have to let them in somehow. Yeah,
there needs to be like a warp storm or like a warp portal or a warp area. That's true. They can't manifest themselves. I keep forgetting that like you can't have chaos in like real space. Like there needs to be warp shenanigans happening for them to get through, right?
You need something to bring them in.
Yeah, I keep thinking they can just possess real space for some reason, even though I have been told the contrary many times.
Well, it's like if you have a planet that's covered in a horrible cancer or sickness, and then everyone is praying for it to get better, and then eventually Nurgle like finds a teeny crack through all of that praying and sleeps in.
Yeah.
If Fabius is doing this and he's just like, "You're not real," there's no crack.
Yeah, there's no crack. There's no way through. Nope.
So it's a really fascinating like contradiction between him and all the things he makes. I will say he also does have a model. Shy, if you have the new
Isn't
model,
it an old one? Oh, he's got a new one?
Yeah, like in the last 3 years or so, pretty recently.
Oh snap! How did I not know this?
Because we haven't talked about Fabius yet.
Ooh, well, that's not bad. He's a lot more decrepit and old looking than I thought for some reason.
The models, you can never perfectly get it, but
true. Man, I love his like I don't want to call them spider arms.
Oh, the like, Churgeon.
Yeah, those are so cool. I love that shit.
Yeah, and honestly, his model.
Oh god, his old one is terrible.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's a pretty fun looking model. I actually really like him on the tabletop too. I think he's super underrated. His abilities are very, very fluffy. He has a feel no pain, which is just makes him a little bit tankier. He's got a special needler pistol that's specifically good against infantry, and then he has his rod of torment, which isn't like super strong or have a lot of armor penetration, but does a ton of damage because it's a tormenting rod. His little churgan on his back gives him a couple extra attacks. And nice. You put him in a unit, and that unit gets an extra bit to their strength and their toughness because he has modified them.
Yeah, because he's pumping them full of drugs and yeah.
Yeah, and then
also,
go ahead.
What's his little dude doing to that Ultramarine? Is that supposed to be like, oh yeah, I'm just fetching the gene seed out of this Ultramarine?
That is exactly what he's doing.
Oh, that's what a gene seed looks like?
Oh, maybe. I don't know. But he is his surgeon acolyte. He's taking some stuff.
Yeah. I was like, oh, hey, look, he's got a little guy shining his sword. That's not a sword. Oh, that's an ultra. Oh, that's his neck. Oh! Yeah, it just kept getting worse.
But the surgeon acolyte, it also gives him a fun rule where he can like get rid of a damage once per turn, and then if Fabius dies on a 2-up, he comes back to life with full wounds. Because of his clone thing.
He's got his clones, yeah.
It's pretty great. He's actually really fun on the tabletop, and he's not too expensive.
Man, I like Fabius Bile. This episode has made me kind of a Fabius Bile fan. I'm bile coded, as they say.
Bile is a fascinating character. He is different in a lot of ways. He's not. So very often in 40K, everything is in extremes. The Imperium is a hyper no heresy, therefore no one can be fun type situation, and then you have your chaos, which are damned by the gods. Because no matter what with chaos, no matter what they get, they still will be, awaiting damnation at the end of the day.
Oh yeah.
And so, but Bile is like neither. He's not a subject of chaos, even though he kind of is.
Kinda, yeah.
But he's
literally a gray area.
Yeah, maybe not morally gray, but
no, just gray in the sense that he's not really Imperium. He's not really chaos. He's just kind of in this weird gray. At least to him, he's in this gray area of I'm not chaos. I'm not Imperium. Ooh, what am I?
Exactly. Like I believe in the betterment of mankind, full stop, but I'm getting there in some pretty awful ways. Yeah. And in doing so, I've most likely damned my life.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
cool. Yeah, I like Fabius. Very dope. Very dope.
It's a fascinating guy. As we mentioned in the beginning of this episode, Fulgrim is his first appearance, and then he has his trilogy. And then I believe the Gene Father is after the trilogy. So I think if you read them in that order, probably is best.
All right.
For those who want to learn more about Fabius, maybe we'll do a Fabius book club at some point. He does seem pretty neat.
Yeah, he does. I think the books on him would be a wild ride.
Before we end the episode, do you have any Shy? Do you have anything else in particular you want to mention about Fabius?
Yeah, Shy. Anything you have? Huh, Shy?
He's pretty dope. He's got a cool mini.
What do you got to say, Shy?
What? I was. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, Bricky wants to know if you got anything to say, Shy. Jesus, Shy.
Matt, this is a genuine question.
She muted me. Hey, she muted me.
All right, DK. Do you have any fucking semen or bussy jokes to throw before we end this episode? You piece of shit.
Nope. I do not. None that come to mind.
Oh, darn. Nothing. No Fabius Bill. Fabulous Billy. No jokes on Fabulous Billy.
Nope. No fabulous bussy. Sorry.
The Fabussy.
Oh, let's. Hey, Shy. Maybe hit that cut button, huh?
No jokes come to mind.
Shy got it. I was wondering if Shy got the emphasis on that, and she did. Good for her.
Semen.